We even have historical evidence for Jesus' resurrection. Thomas Arnold is a professor of modern history at Oxford. If you haven't heard of Oxford, pretty big deal. This guy's a professor of modern history, and he says this: no one fact in the history of mankind is proven by better and fuller evidence of every sort than this one. Jesus Christ died and rose from the dead. This history professor is saying that this is one thing, it has so much evidence, it's the most proved fact in the history of the world that Jesus died and he did arise from the dead. Josephus was this guy in first century times. I mean, he lived in the time of Jesus. He was not a Christian, but he was a Jewish historian, and he was hired by the government to be a historian and to just write down facts. Just write down stuff that happened in history. That's his number one job, and that's why he was paid. Josephus said this: now there was about this time Jesus, a wise man, if it be lawful to call him a man, for he was a doer of wonderful works, a teacher of such men as received the truth with pleasure. He drew over to him both many of the Jews and many of the non-Jews, the Gentiles. He was the Christ, the anointed one of God. And when Pilate, at the suggestion of the principal men among us, had condemned him to the cross, those that loved him first did not forsake him, for he appeared to them alive again on the third day, as the divine prophets had foretold. These and 10,000 other wonderful things concerning him, and the tribe of Christians, so named from him, are not extinct to this day. We have biblical evidence, we have circumstantial evidence, and we have historical evidence. It's not just the Bible, it's flat out history. A non-Christian historian is telling us that lived in the time of Jesus. This is fact. And I put this forth to you. I want you to know these things because I want you to be firm and grounded in the fact that we believe Jesus resurrected. We don't just turn our brains off and say, yeah, I guess so. Somebody said that. Eyewitnesses told us. History tells us Jesus resurrected. It's a far bigger leap of faith to deny the resurrection of Jesus, given the evidence. It's a far bigger leap of faith to deny it than to receive him for who he says he is and trust him as God and Savior.